Good morning, everyone. An hour and a half ago, I was convening the State Banking Commission to order, and I'll start out by saying welcome everybody to the ABLE program. Katie remembers that because Katie Bosco was on that as the Banking Commissioner. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 10th North Carolina ABLE Program Board of Trustees meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'll stand and join us for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. We'll be hearing more about this in a moment, but as you know, August is National ABLE to Save Month. ABLE standing for Achieving a Better Life Experience. I want to tell anybody on this committee that. There'll be a public comment section later on in the agenda. Members, on housekeeping matter standpoint, just be aware that in order to increase transparency, we've established a policy of the Treasurer's Office to record and video all of our official public meetings like this one and make recordings available on our website. This is in an effort to increase transparency and accessibility of public meetings under the authority of the Department of State Treasurer. We have some board members who are joining us by phone for the GoToMeeting. Just to make you aware that we ask that you mute your phone if you're not talking. If you are saying something, please identify yourself for the meeting minute purposes. And any correspondence or communication, either by email or cell phone or text, while this meeting is going on regarding matters of the meeting itself are deemed to be public records. With that, I'll ask that the Secretary call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell.
Are here.
Catherine Boskin.
I'm present.
Melinda Plew.
Present.
Marquita Robertson.
Present.
Chris Egan.
Here.
And Tim Smith.
Here.
Thank you all. Our ethics, awareness, identification of conflicts of interest or potential conflicts. Members, you've seen our agenda. I hope you had a chance to review it. Does anyone present or any members by Zoom have an actual potential or the appearance of a conflict of interest regarding the matters that are before us? Hearing none. Without objection, as we proceed, when we ask for a motion or a second on something, we'll consider those to be yes votes for purposes of roll call. Without objection. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of May 11th.
So moved, Melinda. This is
Thank you, Melinda.
Katie. I'll second.
Motion is second being made. Any further discussion about the meeting minutes? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell.
Aye.
Marquita Robertson.
Aye.
Chris Egan.
Aye.
Tim Smith.
Yes.
Thank you all. We'll now turn the agenda over to item number 4. Jeff Hancock, our director, to talk about the National ABLE Alliance Program Manager Contract Update.
Great. Thank you, Treasurer. As you guys may have recalled from the meeting earlier in the year, staff had requested the board to allow staff to work with the Alliance and with our program manager, a census, to move forward on getting the new contract in place. And so at this point, I'm proud to announce that a new master agreement between Illinois, who is the lead state in the Alliance, and the census, the program manager, was executed in late June with an effective date of July 1st, 2022. And in turn, North Carolina, we executed our implementing agreement with the census that coincides with that new master agreement. And as a result of these new contracts being executed, the Alliance does realize a fee reduction for account holders, mainly for account holders electing e-delivery. I did include in your materials behind tab 2, the new National Able Alliance Program pricing structure. So if you were to take a look at that, when you look at the asset-based fee section, we are currently on the line 2 where the total assets are between 225 million and 449,999,999. So there's an underlying fund fee of between 2 basis points to 5 basis points, depending on what fund an individual selects. And the program management fee is 28 basis points. So in total, in terms of asset-based fees, there's total fees between 30 basis points and 33 basis points. In the next section, which is the annual account maintenance fee for e-delivery, here's where we see the largest reduction. We're on the second line there, between 25,000 to 34,999. You see that the program manager fee is $29. NC has a member fee of $5 for a total fee of $34. That was prior to this new contract. It was $45 a year. So the fee was reduced by $11, which is about a 25% reduction in the annual account maintenance fee. The next section is for those who elect to have paper delivery, and there was only a $1 reduction from $60 to $59 for those accounts. And then the banking account option fees remain the same at $2 monthly, which again can be waived if their average daily account balance is over $250 or they elect e-delivery of their bank statements. Again, so we're very pleased because most of folks do elect e-delivery. So again, about a 25% reduction in their account maintenance fee. In terms of the interstate agreement, which is an agreement that is signed between all of the member states in the alliance, that was updated and recently executed as well. And then the alliance is currently working on a new trust agreement. That new trust agreement is currently being amended to acknowledge that the state of Colorado is exiting the alliance. And once the lead state, Illinois, and the census legal teams agree on the appropriate language for that document, then we will get that new trust agreement executed as well.
Any insight as to why?
At the time that we were working, this was earlier in the year, we kind of hit a wall in terms of negotiations with the program manager. Colorado felt like they still needed to push for something when we thought we were hitting a wall. And they made the decision to exit the alliance, even though the contract got back on track and was eventually executed. They made the decision to go their own way.
And they're going solo?
They're going solo, but they're staying with the census.
And what percentage of our assets were they?
They were, I believe, around 5%. They were one place, I think, ahead of us. So we move up one place. I think we're back in 5th or 6th ranking in terms of the overall alliance.
Sounds like a NASCAR race. Not the winner. Anyway, okay, thanks. Go ahead.
That's it, unless anybody has any comments or questions for me.
Any comments or questions? Can you, comms folks, get all that down so we can clearly report the fee reduction situation? All right, thanks. All right. Good. Any, I've already asked once. Any questions of Jeff regarding that contract update? So that hasn't gotten to me yet to sign, correct? The new contract.
I believe it has all been executed, yes.
Okay. Now, we're on to the exciting part of our agenda. Zora and Christie are here, communications and marketing update.
I'm flattered. Thank you, Treasurer. Good morning. I'm going to give a high-level overview of our communication efforts this past quarter. Next slide, please, Patty. So continuing our positive momentum, we had a very active Q2. And in this quarter alone, we did 4 different webinars, including our first ever webinar in Spanish. And I want to thank the Treasurer for the time he takes to attend all these webinars and also provide commentary. Treasurer, I'd also like to thank you for the time you take even at external events to really build relationships and help raise awareness of the NC Able program. I know this last quarter, for example, you were delivering NC Cash to the March of Dimes, and you were able to make a really valuable connection for us. We actually sent them a bunch of brochures, which they were then able to distribute to their population. So again, a really great way for us to raise awareness. So just wanted to thank you again there.
So I just want to call attention, my eyes aren't as good as yours are, but this is the North Carolina State event.
Yes, which I am about to talk about, yeah.
So met a lot of great people at North Carolina State event for the games. And some of them, I guess, had black shirts on. I didn't know the difference. And this lady that I met had a great relationship, and we talked kidded about a lot of stuff. But then I just wanted to sing that song, "You're So Vain," because I realized after we developed such a great relationship for an hour and a half, that she was going to get on a private jet and be jetted off to Orlando for the games as one of the elite athletes. So I wish I would have, in my remarks, sang the song "You're So Vain," because that's what that song's about. So anyway, go ahead.
Well, that was actually a really great segue. Thank you, Treasurer. So to complement all of our communication efforts this quarter, we also kicked off some really key partnerships. So one of them was with the Special Olympics of North Carolina. And in June, they held their summer games, and they haven't been held for 2 years. So it was something really special to be a part of. And the Treasurer attended the opening dinner where he gave a few remarks. And as you can see from these photos, he was also able to really interact with the athletes and the supporters. And I think everyone really had a great time there. NC Able also had a presence throughout that entire weekend where we were really able to engage one-on-one with the athletes and their families. And we really look forward to continuing this partnership with the Special Olympics of North Carolina throughout the remainder of the year. We also have a sponsorship I want to mention with the Autism Society of North Carolina. And next month actually kicks off the first of 3 big walk runs that will be held throughout the state, and that NC Able will have some sort of participation in. So again, really exciting to see these fruition. Next slide, please, Patty. So another really exciting opportunity for NC Able happened in April, where our revamped website, ncable.org, went live. And we've seen a really steady stream of visitors to the website from across the state. And we can track the different type of information that they're looking at and reading. So we know that content around benefits and qualified disability expenses is really popular and really valuable for this audience. Next slide, please, Patty. So to complement all of our communication efforts, we support everything with social media. And in Q2, we saw an increase around the board in followers and interactions on all of our social media channels. And in fact, in Q2, we saw almost an 80% increase in our Facebook reach compared to the other quarter. And what's really neat is that we can directly correlate increases in engagement of our social media with some of the events that we're at. So for example, at the Summer Games, we shared a lot of photos and video from the event, and we saw an uptick in our social media engagement. So that's something really great to see. And looking toward the future, we're currently working with the North Carolina School for the Deaf on a graphic arts project that will be very similar to the one that we did with Franklin Academy earlier in the year. We're also working to launch a monthly webinar series, and we'll be able to really drill down into different topics that we get questions about from our NC-ABLE account holders. And then finally, as the treasurer mentioned, we're in the middle of Able to Save Month, which is something that we're helping to promote across our social media channels and on our website. So I feel like that was a lot of content that I just presented to everyone. So I'll actually stop here to see if there's any questions about this.
Good. Any questions from our board members? I was in contact with Senator Richard Burr over the weekend, who's from Winston-Salem, who was the author of the ABLE Act 8 years ago, I guess. And so I was letting him know that this was Able to Save Month. So he's obviously a busy person, but he's always interested hearing the good news about something he may have worked on a long time ago. So, do you want to, who's talking about the events?
Our upcoming events? Yes.
All the ABLE board members have to be able to run 3 5Ks in different parts of North Carolina in the next 6 weeks.
Yes.
I
So,
think you need to tell them about that.
so with our upcoming partnership with the Autism Society of North Carolina, we have 3 big walk runs that will be taking place across the state. The first one is actually happening next month in Asheville. There'll also be one in October in the Triangle, where I believe the treasurer and our team will hopefully all participate. So we'll be able to present more information about how that went in the next meeting. But definitely follow our social media channels if you're not already, because we'll be sharing content from those events for sure.
Are you putting us up in Nashville for the race or the run?
Yes, I'm a platinum member of the Conner Lodge. Doors open out to the parking lot. $78 state government. Actually, it is. It's at the conference suites. It's $78.
I've stayed in worse.
Yeah. And the way I'm feeling right now, I'm learning to walk on my hands. So I'll probably do that 1K on my hands and not on my legs. But anyway, we hope that, so it's Asheville, Triangle, and Triad.
Correct.
September 10th, September 24th, and October 8th.
October 8th, yeah.
So great time for our board members to come out and get some exercise and participate in one of these events. I will tell you, after attending the Special Olympics kickoff, it may be the best thing to happen to you that day, that week, that month. You'll never be the same after attending one of these events. So encourage all of our board members, whether you want to do a 1K or a 5K, to come out and participate in these events. Is that it?
Yeah, unless there's questions.
Any questions? Oh, is there?
I have a question. This is Katie Boskin. I was just wondering if you could send us the dates and the race locations.
Absolutely.
Oh, now it's a race.
You better start training.
Mr. Treasurer, you might not know this about me, but I'm a runner, and so that sounds very appealing.
I know. But I'm a motorcycle racer, so when somebody says race, like, it's time to go. So, is there an entry fee?
If the board member, if any of the board members want to participate, we actually have 6 free
Yeah, we have
Slots.
slots for them to participate.
they can be part of our team.
Yeah. So I think that's great.
Be happy to have them.
And Katie, the one that is here in the Triangle is October 8th.
Thank you for, October 8th. I'm gonna hold the date.
All right.
We can send a formal invitation.
Yeah, we'll send more information just so you have it.
It's 5 days before you have to appear in Winston-Salem to speak on behalf of Don Vaughn at the Wake Forest Law School, Katie.
Well, and celebrate Don's birthday too.
Yes, I know. Don's on the banking commission. So. All right, that's it. Thank you for the good job you're doing, and appreciate you partnering with the March of Dimes. And every time I'm out giving money to nonprofits, I always think about any connection we might have with ABLE. So we're organically building this, and I know it's not as fast as I'd like, but I'm very pleased. Other comments? All right. We'll now go to our administrative update. Jose, are you still with us?
I am. Can you folks hear me?
Clearly.
Excellent. Good morning, Treasurer Falwell and esteemed board members. Thank you so much for giving us a section of the board meeting. I'd like to start off the meeting. I'd be remiss not to say something because a typical mainstay person that's part of these meetings, Molly Peterson, is usually on these calls, and happy to share the news. She gave to a beautiful baby boy this past Friday. His name is William Hampton. He's newest member of the Ascensus family. So, mother and baby are doing well. So we're super thrilled about that. Second, again, Jeff had mentioned the renewed contract with the National ABLE Alliance. Again, NC ABLE is a founding member of the Alliance member group, and we're super thrilled and excited that we'll continue this partnership. Me personally, to be able to be part of this continued rich history that NC ABLE has been from the start, from the get. So super excited about that. And third and finally, we're at the 20-yard line for the implementation of the final ABLE which is scheduled to be deployed in November 2022. Just again, a special shout out to the NC ABLE team. They have been tremendous partners through our discussions, through our discovery and discussion. Again, we know it's a heavy lift, a great deal on the Alliance members, and we know NC ABLE is in the forefront and part of those working group discussions. So again, we do appreciate the fact, NC ABLE is such a heavy participant, and, are part of this kind of creative discussions, certainly discussions in getting us to the finish line here. So again, as I had mentioned, we're at the 20-yard line. We're close to the finish. And again, very, very special thanks. They have been extremely engaged, very helpful with their thought leadership through this implementation and discussion. So thank you very much. And moving on to the NC ABLE program report. If you can turn to the next page, Ms. Patty, please. Next page, perfect. Again, we're looking at total assets month after month since June of 2021. We continue to see increases in total assets under management. Again, some speculation of maybe a little bit of a dip this year, potentially because we're a little bit more apprehensive as investing, but we're hoping to see that, I personally am hoping to see that, ABLE and that product, the ABLE product is a recession type of product, and primarily because, ABLE account owners are using it for transactional activity. It's turning really more into a tool of necessity, and not necessarily something of an option, So, again, very promising. We're not seeing a drastic dip, so I think that's a good message overall. Next slide, Ms. Patty, please. Again, this is actually, I really like this slide in particular, and specifically to NC ABLE. We see a deal of the assets under management for NC ABLE within the option, right? So we know for sure 100% we are serving the needs of NC able account owners who would like to use the account as a transactional account to spend for their expenses, for day-to-day qualified expenses. What's a storyline here, which I really do love, is the fact that when you look at the other assets by fund, you could see that there's intention there, right? An NC able account owner, there's intention to save, and maybe they're saving for a big ticket item, or maybe they're saving for a rainy day. But as you could see, total assets under management, when you look at growth option, aggressive, moderate, that makes up a large majority of the AUM. So that's to me, that's also promising, right? Because we're not necessarily just targeting a specific able account owner. I feel like we've covered the gamut. So excellent. Next slide. As we see here, again, contributions by month, slight increase from 2021 for sure. We know December, January, typically those are months where we do see a great deal of volume. But again, nothing alarming here. As long as the trend continues to go up, we're see it. Next slide, Patty, please. Perfect. And as we see, recurring contributions and EBT contributions, when you combine those two, they're leading the total amount. These are the contributions we like to see because, again, they're indications of the type of able account owners we have. They're self-sufficient. They know how to use the web. They feel confident to be able to process transactions via online. However, at the same time, if you want to do it by mail, which is that second column there, second row, forgive me, which is check contribution, we'll certainly still continue to support that, right? So again, 30% of contribution dollars are still going through check, paper check. However, when you look at electronic, you see 14% for recurring. Essentially, they've scheduled some sort of contribution either monthly or quarterly, or they're going online. They're logging into their account and they're doing single contributions, and that consists of EBT contributions and makes up 30%. So, excellent. Next slide, Patty. And what we have here is really just a breakdown of contributions by age group, which again further solidifies the concept. Listen, we're not really targeting a specific NC able account owner or prospective account owners here. We have a tool, we have an investment vehicle, a spending vehicle that really covers the full gamut of NC able participants. And I think, ultimately, it's not necessarily just with contributions, but also with withdrawals. If you go to the next slide, please, Patty. Yeah. And here we have distributions by month. It's if you just scroll down a little bit. Sorry, maybe it's my screen. Yes, perfect. Yep, slight increase from June of last year to June of this year. Nothing alarming. Once again, there's not mass exodus of the plan. We just, it's more so just the trend of currently what the spending is. Next slide, Pat. And this is distributions by type. So again, when you look, a great deal of the withdrawals are happening at the bank, which makes a lot of sense, right? We provide a tool that they're able to use and be able to really truly empower the account owner to be able to for qualified disability. The good sign here is, and this is always a promising sign, is when you look at that last row, the rollover out, you're really only looking at less than 1%, which is fantastic, right? Which basically means, ultimately, I would say generally, NC able participants are extremely happy with their plan and their program. Next slide, please. Thank you. And this was the slide, I'm sorry, I'm referencing. Again, distributions by age group. As you can see, it runs the full gamut. From age 1 day all the way through 66. We see, a number of end user account owners spending, using their able account for a variety of things. Next slide, Patty. and new accounts by here. Again, we saw a slight up in December of 60. June of this, we saw 34, which is a decrease from last year of 40. As outlined, there's a great deal of initiatives that are happening this month. So I'm expecting that for sure when we attend this board meeting in November. We'll certainly see an uptick for sure. Next slide, Patty. This is just a breakdown of accounts by disability type, open versus funded, and the account size based on the disability description. Moving on to the next slide, Patty. And again, once more, a little bit more granular, we're looking at accounts by eligibility and custodial type for Q2 2022. As you can see here, leading the custodian type account owner self. So a lot of folks, a lot of NCABLE participants are opening it on behalf of themselves. We see assets under management leading in that custodian type at 6 million. And next slide, Patty, please. And we have account closures by month. A slight increase in June of 32. As we see, ultimately, a lot of it by closed inactive accounts. And typically what we're looking at is accounts that potentially have made the account has been inactive for 60 greater, have not used it. That's typically where we most of the closures are originating from. Next slide. And as we mentioned before, Alliance Assets rank as of June 30th, 2022. North Carolina will be taking that 5th position once we unravel Colorado out of the Alliance with 15 north of 15 million. Next slide. Excellent. And I'll hand it off to Paul. He's going to discuss the fund performance. Paul?
All right. Thanks, Jose. Appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We'll start off here with just a look at kind of the assets and the allocation of where the North Carolina ABLE assets are throughout the plan. About 15.8 million overall within the plan. And what we see is the top 4 portfolios, the more aggressive ones, there's about 56% of assets within those plans. The bottom 3 have about 44%. And that's a little bit different than what we see with the rest of the Alliance. The rest of the Alliance is a little bit more conservative. This is the most aggressive plan of all the 19 plans within the Alliance currently. About 9 of the 19 plans are under 40%. Within those top 4 portfolios. So you get a mixture of a ratio of the entire Alliance. So definitely the most aggressive. There's a little bit more of a hit to assets this quarter than you got with. I think you lost about 0.3% of assets quarter over quarter. North Carolina ABLE was 0.3%. Still, we have pretty good growth year over year. Assets were up about 22%, about 2.8 million year over year. So there's still pretty good growth within the plan. Obviously, the equity markets have taken a bit of a hit this last 6 months or so in 2022, and that's definitely having a effect on the overall kind of asset growth of the plan. Looking at kind of performance in general, it's definitely the equity markets have struggled with kind of the inflation and the restraints on the supply chain and the Russian-Ukraine invasion that's going on. That's kind of lasted longer than we kind of expected it to originally. So that's continuing to hurt on kind of energy prices. We have seen kind of a development within the last couple of months or last month or so where housing prices and energy prices have started to lower, and that's gonna help move the economy in a better direction, I believe. We have started to see the stock market go up over July and into August a little bit. So we have gotten a bounce back in the equity markets. Within the fixed income markets, we are still seeing the Fed kind of raise rates twice within the last quarter, up about 125 basis points. And in the July meeting, they raised another 75 basis points. We do expect the Fed to continue to raise rates going into probably early 2023, and that will obviously have kind of a negative impact on performance for fixed income funds. And that's just something what we're watching there. The allocations for the Alliance portfolios are a little bit more conservative on that fixed income side. So we do try to protect on the downside to that kind of raising interest rate environment. Within the portfolios in general, the next slide, we look at the underlying funds. The first two funds for the equity funds are the Vanguard International Institutional Index Fund, which represents the S&P 500, so that's large cap funds, and the Vanguard Extended Market Index, so that's the mid and small cap funds within the U.S. economy. So the first two funds really make up the U.S. economy or stock market in whole, and we see kind of the large caps really kind of outperforming that small cap segment. Still kind of hit hard, down 16% for the quarter, where the small mid cap funds were down about almost 21%. So as kind of interest rates rise, it definitely hurts small cap companies a little bit more. They have a little bit more leverage in them, so that there's a little bit less they can do with kind of keeping like the day-to-day functions. They're a little bit more on as far as keeping the, a little bit less leeway to go with their cash position. So it's going to hit the small and mid cap companies a little bit more within that area. Within the international, we see the developed markets being outpaced by the emerging markets funds for this quarter. That was in large part due to China. It makes up about 37% of the emerging markets index, and China was one of the few countries to have a positive return for the quarter. So that's the big contributor there to performance. And then finally, within the REIT position, we put in a kind of a real estate part to our allocation here, and that's kind of diversification here as well. And kind of down markets, it's good to have kind of hard asset there and steady kind of current income. That helps downside protection, and that's what it's doing here. Real estate has hit a little interest rate, but in about the fifth sector within the U.S. economy. And overall, in the past year, it has been one of the stronger sectors behind energy. If we can move ahead to the next slide. And this is kind of a look at the fixed income positions. So we have four kind of fixed income positions within our bond sector. We have a total bond. We have a inflation protected, which we use short-term inflation here, and we have international position, and we have a short duration bond. So we tried to use the short duration bond to kind of look really kind of helped in this environment as interest rates go up. The shorter the term is less sensitive to those rising rates. So this kind of a smaller loss that we'll gain there. We also do the same on that short-term, inflation rate side. So even when kind of inflation is really running high, but when you have kind of the normal inflation rate protected securities, they have a little bit higher duration than normal. They'll get kind of a sensitivity to those interest rates as well. When you use kind of that short-term bond, that kind of takes out that interest rate sensitivity. Distinct inflation protection bond in that scenario. And then we do the same with kind of the international bond. So we use the international bond because the international rates generally go up a little bit less quickly than the U.S. Fed kind of raises rates. By comparison, the ECB raised their rate to 0% just this past quarter, and that was the first time they raised rates within over a decade. So you definitely get kind of protection there. When rates are rising in general, there's a slower rise in rates, and it's less sensitive to kind of raising rates around the world. We also use a hedged position here. So as the U.S. Fed is kind of raising rates and the interest rates are rising in the U.S. market, it kind of strengthens the dollar. So you get more kind of currency fluctuation. As the dollar strengthens, those international kind of stock positions, they're trying to convert back to that dollar, and they can kind of get hit by that currency there. So having a hedge position there, that kind of lowers the risk on that side. So that's why we kind of use an international bond that's hedged. So we'll take a little bit of risk out of it in that way. And to kind of wait through 5 years, you can see that these kind of 3 extra, positions have helped kind of diversify the fixed income portfolio in these target risks, and it's kind of been beneficial kind of all the way through 5 years. Any questions on any of the allocations within this or any of the performance within these funds underlying or overall portfolio performance?
None, proceed.
Okay, then I'll send it back to Jose. I believe it's next section. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. And that pretty much concludes our presentation. We want to make sure we have some time here to field any sort of questions anyone may have.
Questions? Any questions from board members? Board members, this is the treasurer, and there's a lot of information that was just presented. I know that all of you have individual types of investments and retirement accounts, and I always find it helpful that when you get information like this, even if it's on an ABLE account, just look at different asset classes and different performance measures is kind of always a good thing to look at as you're looking at your other personal finances. So, any questions from board members? All right. We're now to our public comment section. Do you want to sign up for public comment? Hearing none. Do you have somebody riding shotgun with you today? You'd like to introduce them?
This is Kristen Merrick. She is part of the SRP team.
Okay.
I'm just kind of showing her what we do.
How to drive.
How to drive.
Thank you. And I have a volunteer intern working with me over the next few weeks, Noah Watkins, who just learned how to drive. I don't know who you are, but yeah, his license very long, right? No. Okay. But we're glad to have you here, and thank you for participating. I'm hereby deem the public comment section closed. As we go around the horn, I want to announce our next board meeting is November 9th, Wednesday. And I'll like to start to see if anybody, any board members have any questions or any closing comments that they would like to provide. Okay. Hearing none, I want to thank staff for putting this together. The homework that we owe the board is to give them the dates and times and information regarding the runs.
Absolutely.
let me know if we have more participation, that we have free slots. Maybe I've asked for more free slots, and let me know personally what the cost of registering is, if we have more than 6. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Tim Smith, so moved.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Katie. I believe that was Katie. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk will call the roll to adjourn.
Treasurer Falwell,
Aye.
Melinda Plume,
Aye.
Marquita Robertson, Chris Egan.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much. We'll see you at some of these events over the next few weeks. We're adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.